Okay, there we go. All right, so you guys can hear me now. Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Can you guys hear me? I think I fixed the audio issue. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Um, I still see no sound, so if you guys can hear me now, let me know in the chat. I'll continue talking when I see some if you guys can hear me or not. Yeah, put a thumbs up if you guys go. All right, so I see somebody say good. Well, hopefully all across the board, everybody can hear me. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everybody. All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Obviously, college football got played yesterday, week 7. Miami's off, Florida State's off, quite a few schools off. So, as you guys know, on these Sunday mornings, we like to do basically recaps of what happened. Now, obviously, most of us are Miami Hurricane fans, Florida State, or even the Florida Gator fans. Florida did play. They played Tennessee. Hard fought game. They lost. Too bad. Too sad. But it is what it is. Florida put up a fight. They didn't just go to kneeling and lay down. So I don't like to give the Gators no kind of props whatsoever. But I guess, man, because I was expecting them to get blown out, but after seeing what Tennessee done the week before and all that, it's like, eh. But nonetheless, Florida still lost. They back to 3-3. The fans are back to being mad at Billy. So that's where we are in Gator Nation right now. The UCF 24-13 has worn off now. Plenty of opportunities for Florida to win or lose that game. To be honest with you, they capitalize on losing. That's what Florida do. They capitalize on losing. That's what Florida do. They capitalize on losing. That's tough. That's tough. Deal with Florida fans. Tough to be a Florida fan. I've actually seen videos online on Twitter, and I've actually shared it myself. Florida Gator fans are actually online crying. They're actually online crying actual tears. Billy in 2024 got the Florida Gator fans online actually crying actual tears. Oh my God. Hurricane fans, Seminole fans, have you guys ever gotten to the point where you're actually crying actual boohoo tears over the team? Now, I don't got mad before. I don't got pissed off. I don't got to the point where it's like hard to breathe kind of deal. But I ain't never cried. I ain't never cried no tears. But Gator fans, man, they're a whole new breed. Billy has brought them boys down to their knees. Pause. But literally, Gator Nation is on their knees. Hopefully, it's just the females. That's tough. That's tough. But God dang it, Gators, y'all. Listen, y'all could have pulled one off. Y'all could have drawn out some believers yesterday, but you failed. You didn't. Too bad. But anyways, let's do what we do every Sunday. Recap, the whole week of college football, man. Guys, do me a huge favor. Hit the like button as you come on in. Subscribe to the channel if you ain't already, and share the channel with a Florida Gator fan, Miami Hurricane, and of course Florida State Seminole, and college football fans in general. Just share the channel. If you're listening on Twitter, go ahead and retweet and all that good stuff. But college football top 25 kicked off. So Friday night they had a good game, man. Utah came up short again. Utah came up absolute short again. In the beginning of the season, everybody was literally just picking Utah to run through the Big 12. Obviously with new additions like Colorado, which they lost last night, by the way. Um, you know, Everybody was trying to figure out who was going to come out on top of this new built, put together, aligned conference. And right now, it's kind of a toss up. So we're gonna go through all of that. But Utah took a L to Arizona State. Arizona State right now is officially 5-1. So, like I said, man, that whole conference is up for grabs right now. I think a lot of conferences right now is going through this. A lot of close calls, a lot of teams emerging. Um, Let me give you guys a narrative real quick. A narrative. Vanderbilt is a powerhouse in 2024. That's tough. Vanderbilt is a powerhouse in 2024. Man, that's tough. Let's continue though. So Texas Red River rivalry, back and forth with Oklahoma over the years and stuff like that. Actually, Oklahoma actually upsetted Texas last year, not this time around. Texas came well prepared. Oklahoma offense was oblivious, trash, never showed up, couldn't put up no points, couldn't get anything going. Texas just basically ran through them the same way Clemson got ran through by Georgia in week one. That's tough. 34-3. 34 to goddamn 3. At least Oklahoma put up 3 goddamn points. That's tough. That's tough, Oklahoma. This supposed to be a rivalry. This supposed to be y'all first year in the SEC. You're supposed to be making an impression. And then you just let your rival, your counterpart, come into the SEC. They're dominating. They're the number one team in the country, and you look piss poor trash. Man, that's tough. That's tough. Red River rivalry, nah. More like Texas was Moses, and they just part that Red Sea and just went all up in Oklahoma. That's tough. That's anyways, man. Quinn Quinn Ewers didn't have to do much. 20 for 29, 199 yards, one shy of 200 basically in a touchdown. Running back had a day with 13 carries, 118, and a touchdown. So Texas pretty much dominated that game. Thriller, man, this game was a thriller. Ohio State versus Oregon. Ohio State versus Oregon. Oregon improved to 6-0. Ohio State 5-1. Ryan Day is officially 1-7 versus top 5 opponents. Ryan Day is officially 1-7 against top 5 opponents. That's tough. Now, Oregon. This game was out there in Eugene, game day, all that good stuff. I've even seen a little Oregon fan had a little sign that says Miami is basically 4-2, changed my mind or whatever, this, that, and third. So I didn't even realize how much Oregon fans was out there actually thinking about Miami and hating on Miami until I watched some of that game day and I saw the sign. I'm like, damn, that's tough. I kind of feel like the U is back at this point when you got fan bases like Oregon hating on you. Mario did go over there and build your nasty little stupid program, but hey, it is what it is. Hate all you want, Oregon. Enjoy your little win. You just beat the number 2 team in the country in Ohio State. So all you Oregon fans, you're 6-0. You should be ecstatic and all that good stuff. You're in the Big Ten, and you just went and knocked off the big dog in the conference as of right now, because Michigan fell off the wagon. This, that, and the third. So, hey, that's tough, man. Oregon will not kill no Miami. Get out of here with that. We are not Florida State. We do not lay down and open our legs. We are not Florida State. Miami is not Florida State. We do not lay down and open our legs wide. That's tough. Easy coochie. Florida State in 2024 is easy coochie. Plain and simple. Let's keep it moving. 1-point game, 32-31. Of course, Ohio State had a chance to, win the game, came up short. That's tough. Too bad. I'm glad you lost. Ohio State, I don't like y'all. You Buckeyes, you suck. I'm glad you took an L. I really don't like Oregon, but I really don't like you even worse. So, yes, Ohio State, you lost. Too bad, too sad. Go cry. Fire Ryan Day if you have to, and all of that. All that. Laugh at Ohio State. Today is officially Laugh at Ohio State. Y'all, I hope you never win another championship. I hope you never win another Big Ten championship. I hope you never win nothing else. Laugh at Ohio State. Too bad. How you gonna let Oregon come up in your conference? It's supposed to be your conference. This is supposed to be your year. You're supposed to have more talents than everybody, and then boom, you get whooped. They come all the way across the country. Well, you had to go across the country, but they live all the way across the country from all y'all. Y'all let them invade the Big Ten, and boom, y'all got slapped. Too bad. Too sad. Jeremiah Smith, great kid, great athlete, freaking nature or whatever. I hope Oregon. I hope this Oregon win was a domino effect. I hope Ohio State gets slapped the rest of the season, which more than likely they will not. But I hope they do. Jeremiah Smith, come on home, man. Come on down to Miami next season. Come play for a real team. And then, that's tough. Hey, Lagway, I see you out there, man. You're doing your thing. Florida gonna fire Billy probably at the end of the year. If you want to slide down to the 305, that's tough. That's tough. But anyways, let me stop before Florida Gators fans start crying and say T2I might be tampering and all that crazy stuff. But yeah, Ohio State got whooped. I'm glad they did. Good game. That's all I can say. Good game, thriller. It was a thriller. If you hadn't watched that game, go. I would recommend you go watch it. I would recommend you watch this week when you ain't got nothing to do. You can watch that game. Another thriller in the Big Ten. You got Penn State in overtime over USC. USC, Oregon, UCLA, and Washington all came over to the Big Ten. So you got that West Coast, East Coast vibe or whatever. But Penn State handled business, beat USC in overtime. Started out kind of rocky, but USC let them back in the game, and then boom, hey man, that's what happened when you let teams hang around. They win. Penn State the number 4 team in the country, so obviously the top 25 is going to shake up. The top 10 is going to shake up a little bit, not too much. A lot of teams played yesterday. Some did well. Some did better than others and shit like that. So you look at teams like Georgia. Georgia beat, Mississippi State, a team that, Florida blew out, and pretty much they've been struggling against everybody. Hell, they right now 1-5. But, Georgia had to basically run away with this thing in the second quarter or whatever. But Mississippi State was just basically hanging around, making it too close for comfort. And nonetheless, Georgia Bulldogs do what they do. They get the win. They win by 10. And, they survive another week. This upcoming week is going to be a great challenge for Georgia. It's going to actually give us a great idea of what the SEC is going to look like. Pretty much we already, 6 games in for most teams, 7 for some. So it's going to be a great way next week is going to be a great way to measure out the SEC. But we're going to get into all the games that's being played next week pretty soon. But South Carolina, great game against Alabama. No, I'm sorry. Actually, terrible. Trash. Basuda. You should have won the game. Alabama should have lost this game. South Carolina pissed down their legs yesterday. They need to fire the kicker. They need to put the kicker's foot on probation. That kicker foot need to be on probation. Their quarterback need to be on probation. His throwing arms need to be on probation. That's tough. South Carolina, you messed up the dream. You could have been Vanderbilt this week. But you messed it up. You messed up the dream, man. You could have been Vanderbilt this week. That's tough. Man, that's tough. Gator fans. Actually, you guys know this is the Big Three. So you guys were the only one that played yesterday out of the Big Three. Any application that UCF was sending me to be a part of the Big Three, to be the Big Four, UCF fans, stop sending me application. I'm not taking no applications right now. I am not taking no applications right now. There is no Big Four. Hell, there ain't no Big Five, no Big Six, no nothing. Man, at this point, to be honest with you, I'm starting to feel like Kendrick Lamar, man. Fuck the Big Three. It's only Big Miami. At this point, I'm feeling like it's fuck the Big Three. It's only Big Miami. We're the only one down here holding down the state. Our back hurt. We need to go to the chiropractor, and we need to send a bill to Florida State and the Florida Gators. Hell, we holding down the state by ourselves. Listen, the world is a heavy place, man. The state of Florida is heavy. We holding that thing on our shoulders by ourselves. Our back hurt. We carrying this goddamn state. Can y'all two get it together? Gators, get it together, man. Get it together. And Florida State, oh my God, don't even get me started on Florida State. Next week might be an epic, might be historic. Next week for Florida State might be historic. But we're going to talk about all that. Obviously, we talk about ranked teams first, so we're not going to talk about Florida State game for next week because they're not ranked. They're never going to be ranked. They will never be ranked this season. Paul Feinbaum was right about Florida State. Florida State, y'all started in the top 10. Y'all was a fake fraud, and you got exposed. You really should be 0-6 right now. Cal just pissed down their legs. Cal settled for five field goals and only made 3 of them, when actually they was in the red zone so much that they could have probably beat y'all. We're gonna talk about Cal a little bit later too, because obviously they stood their ground yesterday, but they still got shot. That's tough. That's tough. Ole Miss, LSU, another good game. Another one that came down to the end. Another one that went into overtime, and another loss for Lane Kiffin. Gator fans, y'all still want Lane Kiffin? Gators, y'all still want Lane Kiffin? Y'all still want him? Let me know. Stand up. Be a man now. Let me know. Y'all still want to fire Billy and get Lane Kiffin? Let me know. Now, LSU, perfect overtime win for them. In the Bayou, didn't catch no L. Improved to 5-1, still alive in the SEC, 2-0. Ole Miss pretty much got 2 L's in the SEC already. So you might as well just count them out. They already lost to Kentucky and now LSU. I think the SEC, man, it ain't too much room for error. So, yeah, top 10 team no longer will be in the top 10. Obviously, LSU will move up. Good win for them. This, that, and the third. So, right now, we're halfway through college football. So, it's going to start to shape up. I think probably in a week or two, we're going to start seeing the college football playoffs rankings start to come out and stuff like that. And you'll see, where teams really stand outside of the AP poll and the coaches poll, which the AP poll and the coaches poll should be dropping sometime today. So we'll get an update on where these teams will be ranked, after someone caught some L. Obviously with, Ole Miss catching the L, and you got Clemson beating the bejesus out of Wake Forest. Obviously, Clemson's going to move up. Tennessee barely survived against Florida. Who knows? Maybe they'll stay where they are, or maybe they'll drop one. Clemson definitely will come up. So we'll see how that goes. But Clemson absolutely beat the bejesus out of Wake Forest yesterday. Man, and did anybody not expect that? If you listened to the show last week, obviously I told you guys that Clemson would have beat the bejesus out of Wake Forest. Now, I've seen a few videos, and I want to talk to you guys about it too. Basically, scenarios for the ACC championship game. Obviously, Clemson, Miami, and SMU, they're looking good right now. They're looking good. They're all undefeated in the ACC play. They're not going to play each other this season, so there's a crash course where let's just say all these teams are basically undefeated in ACC play at the end of the year. Somebody gonna get left out of the ACC championship game. Somebody gonna get left out. Now, ACC do got a couple rules that you gotta abide by to get into that championship game. So at the end of the year, man, right now Miami's undefeated. You got Clemson with a loss to Georgia, and you got SMU with a loss to BYU. So obviously, Miami just continue to win. We control our own destiny, is what it is. I do expect SMU to catch an L by the end of the year, and more than likely, it'll be a Miami versus Clemson ACC championship. But this thing is it's not that clear cut. You still got Pitt hanging around undefeated also. You still got a few teams that's, undefeated in ACC play that's still hanging around. So we're going to see how this thing turn up. The ACC is outside of Miami and Clemson, I think it's still a toss-up a little bit. I think those are the dominant teams. Those are the teams that got the talent and everything to make it to the end, basically, the depth to make it to the end. Some of these teams look good now, but eventually they're going to start falling off, and a couple pieces here and there, injuries and stuff like that happen, unfortunately. But it's a part of the game. It is what it is. But the ACC, man, it's going to get tough this year. Speaking of the ACC, Notre Dame handled business yesterday against Stanford. When I'm talking about handle business, I'm talking about handling business. They stood on business yesterday, 49-7. Beat the brakes off Stanford. Stanford couldn't do nothing, absolutely nothing. Stanford had to just bend down and just take it. That's tough. That's tough, Stanford. Stanford. That's tough. That's tough, Stanford. Man, that's tough. Stanford pregnant right now. That's tough. Um, Iowa State. Iowa State handled business against West Virginia. Iowa State 6-0. Man, a couple teams that still undefeated. Couple teams that are still undefeated. Iowa State is one of them. Iowa State is 6-0. Now, these Cyclones, I don't know what to make of them. I haven't really paid much attention to them. I really got to look at the rest of their schedule to see if they can actually make it through the Big 12 undefeated. But who knows? They might be at this point the favorite in that conference. They might be the favorite. I think they're probably the highest ranked in there. They're ranked at number 11, tied with Notre Dame for that number 11 spot. They might well just give it to Iowa State because Notre Dame's loss was to Northern Illinois. So I don't know what's up with that. They might well just give that number 11 spot solely to Iowa State. Iowa State undefeated right now in the Big 12, man. Big 12 wide open. Like I said, we're going to look through these conference in a minute, but let's get through these games. BYU, another team that's undefeated. Another team that's basically out here doing a thing or two. The bicycle school, the Mormons, they doing their thing. They doing their thing. They on a mission right now. No pun intended. But they on a mission right now. 41-19. That's what they did yesterday. Beat the brakes off Arizona. Convincing win for them, keep it moving. Late game, I didn't stay up for that one, but obviously Boise State, the favorite to come out of the group of 5 for the playoffs this year. As you guys know, a group of 5 team will be guaranteed a spot. And right now, after 6 games, it's looking like it's more than likely going to be, Boise State. Boise State 28-7 against Hawaii. Good win for them. As long as they continue to win, they'll be fine. In the Mountain West, they 2-0. So, if they continue playing like that, basically, they might be the group of 5 team to make the playoffs this year. I'm gonna be honest with you. Anybody that comes up against Boise State, that might be an automatic win, but they ain't gonna lay down. They're gonna put up a fight. But that might be an easy first round for anybody. Colorado, Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter. I think he got hurt, injured in that game, if I'm not mistaken. I kind of, clicked onto that one a little bit late. I had other games I was watching up to that point. Actually fell asleep on this game. I put this game on and fell asleep. That's tough. Woke up to see that Colorado had lost. Kansas State jumped out on them from what I was watching. And apparently they hang on to win by 3. Mr. Sanders, not Deion, his son, Shedeur, 34 for 40, 388 yards and 3 touchdowns. Hey, great stats, man. Great stats. Colorado is 4-2 right now, by the way. They already matched the amount of wins they had last year. The year before, they only had 1 win. So, moving in the right direction. I think they'll win a couple more games this season. They'll probably be bowl eligible and everything like that. I don't think they're going to be this great contender that, everybody think they could be. It is what it is. I don't see it. That old line from the last time I watched, they're improving a little bit. I could say that much, but they're still terrible compared to, everything else that's out there. All the great old lines that we see, like, the Miami Hurricane, not to brag, but, I don't see them standing up to any team. If I put them up against anybody in the top 10, I think they would get whooped. Plain and simple. So I ain't got too much, steak or potatoes or, not even salary sticks. Nothing. I ain't got nothing on Colorado. I wouldn't put $1 on Colorado. The 1 week they hot, the next week they not. Plain and simple. I don't know what to make up of Colorado, but they got whooped. Yep, got whooped. Travis Hunter, I'm not quite sure the extent of his injury, so hopefully, he bounced back. That's a kid that's been plagued by injury his whole career, whether it's at JSU, Jacksonville State, not Jacksonville, Jackson State, whatever, and now at Colorado, kid been plagued, man. That's tough. So we're gonna see. Bounce back week for Missouri. Bounce back week for Missouri. After last week basically getting blown out, they bounced back. They played a terrible opponent in UMass. UMass is 1-6, guys. So that's the cupcake game. They scheduled them mid-season and basically bounced back. Beat them 45-3. Nothing to see there, basically. Nothing at all. Great game. Another thriller. Another thriller. Another one that came down to it. Basically, Cal was two extra points away from tying this game. They actually missed two extra points in this game. So this could have been a 17-17 game where both of them go into overtime and then we get a winner. But it is what it is. The Pitt Panthers right now are 6-0, 2-0 in the ACC play. The Pitt Panthers, I repeat, are 6-0. Pitt is 6-0. Obviously, Miami do not play Pitt. So this is not a team that we would have to worry about or anything like that. But in the grand scheme of things, the way the ACC is, playing out, it would have been great for Cal to win that game, for it to favor Miami. But hey, Pitt doing their thing. Pitt is actually ranked number 22 team in the country, and they'll move up. I think they'll move up this week. Not much, but they'll move up. Most of the teams in the top 25 did win their game. Speaking of that, Illinois survived against Purdue. Purdue is a terrible team in 2024. Illinois sitting at 5-1. They're number 23 in the country. They won. Won by a point, 50-49, against the worst team arguably in the Big Ten. So survival. A lot of close games. Yesterday was a lot of close games. But let's see. Let's check the ACC games that went down in the ACC that did not rank. They did not rank. So let's go on over to the ACC real quick. Obviously, we'll go through all the Power 4 teams, but ACC matchups that we did not talk about because they was not ranked. Georgia Tech beat North Carolina. Everybody getting a hit off North Carolina right now. I think it might be safe to say that Mac Brown is pretty much done. It might be safe to say that Mac Brown at North Carolina is pretty much done. North Carolina in 2024 is a terrible team. Now, obviously, nobody really had high expectations for them coming into the season. Pretty much the season is going as everybody thought, except it's a little bit worse. You got blowout, 70 points dropped on you by James Madison, and every week you just fall off the wagon even more. You had a 20-point lead against Duke, and you end up losing that game by a point, 21-20, to be exact. Duke scored 21 unanswered points on you. Manny Diaz basically got his lick back on, Mac Brown. Mac Brown kind of hold him a little bit at Miami. That's tough. But North Carolina, man, fell off the wagon. Don't know what to really make out of them. Terrible season. I already got 4 losses. 0-3 in the ACC. They're pretty much already done in the ACC. No compete for no ACC championship or anything like that. Those were one of the teams that you could literally just write off. Them and Cal too. Cal is 0-3 in ACC play, so you could just write them 2 off. Great game came down to the end yesterday. All the games in the ACC was pretty good yesterday, outside of Clemson versus South Carolina, and obviously Stanford getting the bejesus beat out of them by Notre Dame. All the other games, close games, came down to the end. Georgia Tech won, beat North Carolina. Louisville survived. Louisville survived Virginia. Plain and simple. Louisville survived 24-20. This is great for Miami. Our next opponent next week upcoming is Louisville. It's great to see that Louisville, did not, catch another L back to back to back. Obviously lost to Notre Dame, lost us SMU. Glad to see that they didn't lose to Virginia too. Miami don't play Virginia, so it's great to see, Louisville, one of our opponents, to strengthen our schedule, especially in ACC play one. So Louisville survived. Basically, Don Chaney and them boys, some of the guys that left Miami and went over there, guys on the team like, Skinner, former tight end at Miami. So those guys got the win. They improved to 4-2. Um, Syracuse, another good win for Miami. Syracuse is on our schedule. So obviously, seeing some of these teams that's on our schedule win the game, that's a good look for us. So at the end of the year, when the ACC, let's just say some teams are undefeated and we got to make a decision of who get to play the ACC championship, our schedule look a little bit, more stronger. So obviously, Syracuse beat NC State. That's a good thing. 24 to 7, close game. Man, like I said, guys, yesterday was some of the closest games in college football. If you sat down and watched some college football games yesterday, you had to be entertained. If not, you're probably just a one team kind of guy. If your team ain't playing, everything else sucks for you. But great games yesterday. Great games, especially in the ACC. Let's take a trip to the Big 12 real quick. Take a trip on over to the Big 12. We already talked about a few of these games. So outside of the top 25, the only game that was played that was not ranked was UCF versus Cincinnati. Now, this game is significant in one way and one way only. Jakari Brown. Now, obviously, I don't know the situation with KJ Jefferson. I didn't check the story. I didn't check the narratives, nothing like that. I didn't know if he was injured or anything like that. But I know they started a freshman quarterback yesterday. Kind of shocking to me that they started a freshman over Jakari Brown. Now, late in the game, Jakari Brown did come into the game. He did, throw a touchdown and, had a couple of passes here and there, but not quite sure. So we're going to check his stats for that game. We're going to check the stats on that game, see basically, what happened. But Jakari Brown, former Miami Hurricane, jumped in the transfer portal. So it said KJ got benched. Okay, so they put in the freshman. He started, and then Jakari Brown got in the game, scored a touchdown, threw a touchdown, but couldn't hold off Cincy, basically. They couldn't hold off Cincy. So when you look at Brown's stats, basically he was 13 for 20, 207, 207 yards, and one touchdown. That was Jakari Brown's, stats for yesterday. Obviously, I'm watching him. I'm looking at his quarterback mechanics and everything like that. I can't really say I miss him at Miami. To be honest with you. I was praying and hoping he does good. I was, rooting for him and everything like that. But as far as having him at Miami, I can't. No, we deserve way much better. And that's no shot at the kid or anything, but we deserve way much better. And, good luck to him. Hopefully, he plays better, get more snaps during this season. And who knows, maybe possibly be their starter next year. But I'm glad we're at where we are right now and who we got right now. That's tough. But, good luck to Jakari Brown over there at, UCF and everything like that. Hopefully, he continue to do good. Hopefully, everything work out for him. But I'm glad Miami is in the state that Miami is in right now. Yeah. So Big Ten, let's go on over to the Big Ten games that, wasn't ranked, if they had any. So they kicked it off on Friday night, Maryland versus Northwestern. Maryland is terrible. Maryland offense is terrible. Guess who's Maryland's offensive coordinator? Josh Gaddis. Josh Gaddis. Now, during the week, I saw this graphic of basically, points per game, teams that are putting up points. And I saw Maryland had that 33 point something per game. And Josh Gaddis was pretty much bragging about it on Twitter. He shared it and, talking about some not bad or whatever they said, and blah, blah, blah. And then this week only put up 10 points against Northwestern. Man, that's tough. Only put up 10 goddamn points against Northwestern. Maryland is historically bad. Maryland is historically bad. I'm glad we don't have Josh Gaddis. I'm glad we don't no longer have Josh Gaddis at Miami. Well, I tell you, terrible offense. Terrible offense. Josh Gaddis, your offense is absolutely trash. Matthew Walker in the building. What's going on, Matthew? Good morning, everybody in the chat. Y'all get in the comment section. Hit the like button. Billy Napier is the worst coach in the FNSEC. I'm not gonna argue with you, Matthew. I'm not gonna argue with you. You're a Gator fan. That's your team. It is what it is. It is what it is. If you say Billy Napier is the worst coach in the SEC, I have no choice but to agree with you. I have no choice but not to debate you. I have no choice but to go along with what you say. I have no choice but to listen to you trash your coach and enjoy it. And enjoy it. I love it. I love every bit of it. Gator fans trashing Billy Napier. We knew this was going to happen. When we looked at y'all's schedule and we looked for the wins and losses, we knew this was going to happen. Last night was y'all's chance to flip the narrative, to possibly turn this season around, to possibly push this season in a different direction. Had you guys beaten Tennessee yesterday, I probably would have just said straight up today, oh, you're going to beat Kentucky. I probably would have just gave you Kentucky. But now it's a toss-up again. But I don't know the extent of Graham Mertz's injury. I don't know the extent of Graham Mertz's injury. I don't know how long he will be out. But if Lagway is the quarterback the rest of the way, I'm going to pay even extra close attention to the Florida Gators. I want to see what this offense is going to be with Graham Mertz. With Graham Mertz not playing, I'm sorry. With DJ Lagway, under center. I want to see if the Florida Gators was right from the beginning about starting Lagway. A lot of Gators, even former Gator, Shannon, I think his name is Channing or something, Channing on the pivot or whatever. He said that they should have started Lagway from the get-go. He said that. Now, I want to see if these guys was right. There's a lot of Twitter fans out there that said Lagway should have been starting. Lagway was like the second coming of Jesus to some of them fans. Give me Lagway. Give me Lagway. Lagway. Lagway me. Lagway me, please. That's all the Gator fans been saying all offseason. Hey, man, we got to start Lagway. That's tough. That's tough. We're going to see, though. We're going to see for the rest of the season if Graham Mertz is out for the rest of the season. Based on that injury that, he sustained last night, we're going to see. But let's keep it moving. We talked Washington. So Washington took a huge L again. A huge L. 40-16 against Iowa. Iowa beat the bejesus out of them. Washington played for the national championship, obviously. Lost their coach to Alabama. Now they're in the Big Ten. They're 2-2 in the Big Ten. And pretty much nothing to talk about. It almost looks as if their season in the Big Ten is already over already. They're 4-3 right now. They're already 2-2 in conference. Might just be playing for a respectable bowl game right now. With 3 losses, there's no, aspiration for college football playoffs or anything like that. So it might be just a bowl game kind of deal. I won't be surprised if you start seeing guys hitting the red shirts transfer portal from Washington and some of these teams that's already caught 3 L's. So be on the lookout for that, guys. Remember, A lot of these kids are quitting on their team right now. Some of them for lack of better judgment. Some of them, for opportunities elsewhere, and some of them just basically quit. They just quit. It is what it is. Call it what it is. Um, I could say quitting. You could probably say looking for a better opportunity. We could meet in the middle on some of these kids, or we could just straight up say, "Hey, this guy's looking for an opportunity," or we could say, "Hey, this guy's quit." But it is what it is. There's some great areas around there. Um, Wisconsin, obviously without Tyler Van Dyke, storyline around there, transfer from Miami to Wisconsin, and basically got injured against Alabama. Pretty much, I think he's out for the season, if I'm not mistaken. If he's not returning this season or whatever, but Wisconsin did pretty well. 42-7 against Rutgers. 42-7. Both Rutgers and Wisconsin right now are sitting at, 4-2. 4-2. Rutgers could make a bowl game this year. This, that, and third. I don't want to hear nothing about no Rutgers in bowl games, so I don't even know why I even mentioned that. But anyway, Rutgers could possibly make a bowl game this year. All they need is 2 more wins. So is Wisconsin, because that's pretty much what they're going to play for this year with them 2 L's already. Wisconsin got a little bit more of a bright side. They're 2-1 in conference. They only got 1 conference loss, while Rutgers already got 2 conference losses. So, it's more a little bit brighter side for Wisconsin. UCLA, Big Ten dumpster fire. Big Ten dumpster fire. 0-4 in Big Ten. 0-4 in Big Ten. This is what happened when you follow the leader. USC, Oregon, Washington, and UCLA went over to the Big Ten. And obviously, UCLA is the big dumpster fire of the 4. They're the worst one out of the 4. They're 0-4 in Big Ten play. They're 1-5 as a team in the whole. UCLA and Florida State is the same team. They are the same exact team in 2024. UCLA and Florida State are the same goddamn team in 2024. Trash. Pure gutter juice. Terrible teams. Absolutely garbage. Pencil them as a win if you got them on your schedule. UCLA and Florida State in 2024 is easy coochie. Easy coochie. Plain and simple. Easy coochie. Let's keep it moving. Let's go on over to the SEC. Arguably the best conference in the country. Based on the rankings that I looked at yesterday, they got 9 SEC teams ranked. So that kind of tell you, you kind of get what you get with the SEC. I would not be surprised if none of the games that got played yesterday was not ranked. But we'll find. We'll see. We'll see. We talked about pretty much all of them. They do got a game that wasn't ranked. Vanderbilt versus Kentucky. In 2024, Vanderbilt is 2 games away from being bowl eligible. Vanderbilt is 2-1 in SEC conference right now. Vanderbilt is 2-1 in SEC conference. They beat Alabama. They beat Kentucky, back-to-back wins. And Vanderbilt is starting to look like a powerhouse. I'm starting to think that Florida ducked Vanderbilt this year. Florida don't play Vanderbilt. I'm starting to think that Vanderbilt will beat Florida this year. I'm starting to think that Florida ducked them. I'm starting to think so. As a matter of fact, Vanderbilt being that they done beat Alabama, being that they done came back the next week and showed that it wasn't really a fluke, they done beat Kentucky now. Let's take a look at Vanderbilt, man. I never thought I'd be saying this, but let's take a goddamn look at Vanderbilt. Let's take a look at the rest of this schedule. Now, this the kind of shit that kills me. This the shit that kills me. You got Vanderbilt losing to teams like Georgia State, but now they out here beating Alabama. They out here beating Kentucky. Ball State is up next. That's a dub. That's a dub for Vanderbilt. Texas is after that. Texas Longhorns. I can't even pencil you in a win yet. I can't even. Listen, Texas Longhorns, I'm not disrespecting y'all. I'm just telling you this. I cannot pencil you in a win against Vanderbilt. I cannot. Vanderbilt out here competing right now. They're going to come off a huge win against Ball State going into that game against Texas. It's a 50-50 toss-up for me against Texas. Vanderbilt versus Texas, as of right now, is a toss-up for me. You will not catch me penciling teams a automatic win against Vanderbilt. Not after these past 2 weeks. Not after these past 2 weeks. Vanderbilt done came alive. Vanderbilt done came alive. Uh, Texas, count your days, Texas. Texas, count your days. Obviously they got Auburn. I'm gonna give Vanderbilt a win against Auburn. Auburn is trash. Auburn is trash. I'm finna pencil in some win for Vanderbilt right now. They'll listen. Texas game 50-50. 50-50. Vanderbilt versus Texas 50-50 as of right now. Obviously there's there are different possibilities out there. They could play against Texas and then get blown the brakes off, and then it is what it is. But I'm gonna go ahead and pencil in a win right here for on Auburn, South Carolina. That's another 50-50 game. I'm gonna put it at 50-50. Normally these are games that I would say Vanderbilt you're gonna lose. South Carolina almost beat Alabama yesterday. It's like everybody taking a shot at Alabama now. Alabama has literally became average after basically losing Nick Saban. Kellen DeBoer, I don't know what your tenure at Alabama is going to be, but it ain't starting off too well with losses like Vanderbilt and then close games against South Carolina where you was uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. Then you got LSU. I can't pencil in no win for LSU against Vanderbilt. I definitely can't pencil in no win for Tennessee against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, all these other games, Texas, um, South Carolina, LSU, Tennessee, all possible wins for you. 50-50. I'm giving you 50-50. Go out there and do your thing. I know you're going to beat Ball State. Go out there, handle your business. I want to see if you're going to keep this thing going. Now, I want to see the odd makers for Texas versus Vanderbilt. Texas versus Vanderbilt. I want to see the odds on that. I want to see what the odds on it is. I want to see what the payout is for Vanderbilt on the money line. Texas versus Vanderbilt. I'm going to go out on a limb and put some money that I could afford to lose on Vanderbilt. I'm going to do it. It is what it is. I'm going to put some money on Texas versus Vanderbilt. If Vanderbilt go out there and handle business this week against Ball State, the next week upcoming, I'm gonna put some money on Vanderbilt, whatever the money line is. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna hope for the upset. Texas, that's tough. But Vanderbilt out here in 2024 got people talking. Man, never thought I'd be clicking on Vanderbilt, looking for wins and losses for Vanderbilt. But man, that's tough. All right, guys. So basically, that was pretty much it for week 7. Let's go into week 8. Obviously, Miami will be playing this week. Florida State will be back playing this week. We'll have some games, some interesting matchups to talk about this week. So we'll kick it off with Auburn. Oh no, we're not kicking it off with no SEC. SEC, get out of here. Let's start with, you know what? Let's do it by conference. Top 25 ain't come out yet, so we'll do it by conference. Top 25 has an update, so we're gonna do this thing by conference. So Thursday night game for the SEC, for the ACC. We're gonna start with the ACC, alphabetic order, folks. Boston College versus Virginia Tech. Canes fans. We rooting for Virginia Tech in this one. Canes fans, we are rooting for Virginia Tech in this one. Boston College versus Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech right now is 3-3, 1-1 in ACC. Obviously, we are their only loss in the ACC. We're rooting for Virginia Tech. We need our strength of schedule in the ACC, within the ACC, to be strong at the end of the year. So we're rooting for Virginia Tech in this one. Virginia Tech, go get that dub against Boston College. Yeah, it is what it is. Go get that dub. Friday night at 7 o'clock on ESPN2, you have Florida State versus Duke. Florida State versus Duke. Y'all already know who I'm rooting for. These are two total opposite teams right now. Duke is 5-1, and Florida State is 1-5. Florida State is 1-5. Duke is 1-1 in ACC play, while Florida State is 1-4. 1-4. Sole win this season came to Cal at home. That's tough. Florida State is traveling to North Carolina to take on Duke, a team that they have never lost to. Florida State is undefeated against Duke. Can Manny Diaz, a Florida State alumni, Manny Diaz, a former Miami Hurricane head coach, Manny Diaz, even worked at Florida State before, well connected within this rivalry, the Miami Hurricanes and the Florida State Seminoles. The Seminoles got Manny Diaz fired, which he was replaced by Mario Cristobal. Epic game right here. Epic storyline. Now, obviously, Florida State is in the gutters right now. Florida State is absolute baby shit. Absolute trash, garbage, basuda, dumpster, dog poop, all of that. Duke, this is your opportunity, Duke. This is your opportunity to get that signature first win against the Seminoles. Duke, you got to go out and do it, Duke. Manny Diaz, you got to make this happen. You got to beat Florida State. Now, if you can beat them in dramatic fashion, in blowout fashion, that's even better. I think this game right here will silence every single Florida State fan. I think after this game, a Florida State fan will not exist in 2024. I think they will all crawl under their bed, all of the rocks that they came out of, and they would be silent for the rest of the year. Obviously, they're going to be crying online, oh my God, we need to fire Norvell. We need to fire the entire coaching staff. We need to fire, the mascot. We need to fire the fans that's in the stand reading books. They need to fire the guys that paint themselves with the garnet and gold with the glitter. They're going to need to fire everybody. If Duke beat them, this is going to be historic. First ever win against Florida State. Get it done, Manny Diaz. In Manny we trust. In Manny we trust. In Manny we trust. My goodness, as a Hurricane fan, that hurts to say that. It hurts to say that. It hurts. Obviously, 12 o'clock game on ABC. We got the main channel, guys. We got the main channel. ABC, Saturday. We got the main channel. 12 o'clock game. Miami versus Louisville. Miami will take the trip to Kentucky, up there to Louisville, to take on Louisville. This is for the I forgot the name of the trophy already. The Schnellenberger boot or something like that. Hopefully we can bring it on home. Hopefully we can bring it home. Obviously, we stumbled against Louisville at home last year. So hopefully we could go ahead and get that trophy for the first time and bring it on home. So Miami versus Louisville. Obviously, Louisville played yesterday. They survived. This game could have been a lot less interesting, but, glad that Louisville did win. 4-2 Louisville versus 6-0 Miami. How you guys feeling about this one? Are you nervous? Watching the last two games that we played in ACC play, pretty close games. Pretty much came down to the end. Miami won both. Controversial wins, if you want to say. Virginia Tech came down to the last play. Cal came from a 25, point comeback with a potential controversial targeting call and all that kind of stuff. So obviously very controversial to say. Are you guys nervous going into this game against Louisville? Are there any scenarios in your head playing out where Miami loses this game? What are you guys expecting to see from Miami? What are you guys hoping that they improved over this, bye week? What are the tendencies that you've been seeing, the pros and cons of the Canes, the things that you want to see them continue to do, and the things that you want to see them improve on? Obviously, some things are, fixable and some things ain't. Like, for example, if I got a DB that runs a 4.5 over the bye week, he's not going to come out and run a 4.2 now. He's not going to come out and run a 4.3 now, or even a 4.4. He's still going to be a 4.5 runner or whatever. You can't improve that over a week. So, things that we can improve on over the bye week, things that you expect to see against Louisville, certain tendencies and stuff like that. What kind of scheme should we run? Should we lean more towards zone? Should we lean more towards man? That kind of deal. On the offensive side, what do you want to see from Cam Ward? Obviously, the turnovers got to go. Everything else is great. Them turnovers got to go. Obviously, I do want to see him spend less time roaming around in the pocket going backwards. If you're gonna go, side to side and get players open, that's great. I just don't want to see you going backwards and throwing the ball at the last second. And when they do replays and stuff like that, your knees are down. So basically, it's a sack or a tackle for loss or whatever. But what do you guys want to see? Don't worry about what I want to see. What do you guys want to see? What has been troubling you watching these games? What has gotten you frustrated watching these games? Air them out in the comment section. All right. Another ACC matchup. This one will be on ACC network, obviously. Clemson, 5-1 coming in, number 10 team in the country, probably will move up in the rankings. Versus Virginia. Virginia 4-2, coming off a loss yesterday to Louisville. This game is in Clemson, so what are you guys expecting to see in this game? Is it going to be a blowout? Do you guys think Virginia hang with Clemson? All that. Obviously, the money line for these games hasn't come out. I think I should probably do a midweek show on just all the ACC teams. I think that's what I'll do. I'll do a midweek show, probably around Wednesday, when all the money line, when all the the spreads and everything come out. We'll do an ACC show, talk about the expectations and all that great stuff. What to expect in these games. Should be a bounce back week for Wake, but I don't trust Wake Forest. I won't be surprised if Wake Forest actually loses this game. But it's Wake Forest versus UConn. Wake Forest is terrible in 2024. Wake Forest got 2 wins on the season so far, one more than Florida State. Wake Forest is 2-4 right now. So, Wake Forest is just one level up from Florida State at this moment. Georgia Tech at this moment is 1 game away from being bowl eligible. 1 game away. They're 5-2. Obviously, Notre Dame is 5-1 with that 1 L that's very embarrassing, Northern Illinois or whatever. But this game is in Atlanta, home game for Georgia Tech. Can Georgia Tech pull off the dub against Notre Dame this week? Do you guys feel like Notre Dame can pull off the win? I mean, Georgia Tech can pull off the win, pull off the upset, because I do believe this will be a game that's favored Notre Dame or whatever when the spreads comes out. But do you guys feel like Georgia Tech can get the dub this week? I hope so. It'll only make Miami's schedule a lot more stronger. Bottom feeders. Bottom feeder. This is a bottom feeder game on the ACC network, 3:30. Cal versus North Carolina State. Cal Golden Bears, you guys owe us big time. You guys owe Miami big time. We brought game day to your city, to your college for the first time. You should thank us. You probably will never get it again. They probably will never come to your city again. They probably will never come to your games again because you probably will never be this relevant again. Attaching your name to the Miami Hurricanes was the best thing you did last week. That was the best thing you did. Right now, you are 0-3 in ACC play. NC State 0-3 in ACC play. They 3-4. You 3-3. This is a bottom of the barrel game. This is a bottom of the barrel game. This is a nobody cares. These two teams are trash game. NC State versus Cal. Now, obviously, this game right here could lead one of them in the direction of possibly trying to get bowl eligible by the end of the year. That's pretty much it. That's all they got to live for. That's all they got to play for right now. Bowl eligibility. That's it. That's it. So it is what it is. SMU, 8:00 on ACC Network versus Stanford. This obviously will be favored SMU. This is a game out there in Stanford, out there in California. It's an 8:00 game, so obviously not too bad. You know, they didn't send them out there to play at 10:30 like they did Miami and Cal. They didn't send SMU to play at 10:30 at night. So this could be a more manageable game for SMU versus Cal. You know, the time zone from Dallas to California is not as bad as California to Miami. So I could see SMU going over there, getting the win or whatever. I don't think there'll be too much jet lag, too much of a difference in time zones and everything like that. And obviously in 2024, SMU is a better team than Stanford. Plain and simple. Yesterday, Stanford got beat 49-7 by Notre Dame. So SMU right now, 5-1, only lost to BYU. BYU's undefeated, by the way. So, ain't no such thing as a great loss, but in this particular moment, it is what it is. That's it for the ACC. Let's go into your guys' second favorite conference, the SEC. Let's go into the SEC. Matchup this week. Auburn versus Missouri. Nothing to really see here. Nothing to really watch here. Missouri only got one loss, though. So Missouri still got life. Auburn is 0-3 in conference, and they 2-4 in total. I'm expecting a win for Missouri, but I won't be surprised if this game go either way, even though Auburn is absolutely terrible right now. I won't be surprised. Both of these, Missouri has not impressed me at all, period. So this is one of those games where I would stay away from it. I could see it going either way. South Carolina versus Oklahoma. Two teams that season more than likely is probably already over. South Carolina is 3-3. Great game yesterday against Alabama. Obviously came up short, but nonetheless. Now Oklahoma, on the other hand, played Texas, Red River Rival game, got the bejesus beat out of them. Totally embarrassed, 34-3. I'll stay away from that one too. Two teams that basically are in bad critical condition right now and will need a win. Now, obviously, Oklahoma is 2 games away from being bowl eligible. And I do believe they'll get there. But at this moment, South Carolina is also in desperation mode. I could see this one going either way. I'm staying away from it. Oh man. Alabama versus Tennessee. Two teams that barely survived yesterday. This game is in Knoxville, Tennessee. The Gators went up in there yesterday and showed me that home field advantage don't really matter. I mean, well, you guys should have learned that in week 1 when Miami went into the swamp, the so-called hardest place to play in America, according to all these, Gator fans and all these other, entities that does college football. And obviously fans don't really matter. Florida almost beat Tennessee yesterday. Rivalries are rivalries. It don't even matter. Tennessee versus Alabama. I don't know where to go with this one. I do not know where to go with this one. This is This is a ABC game. Comes right on after Miami. 3:30 game. Miami plays at noon. Then this game comes right on. I'm not even going to change my channel. I'm not even going to change my channel. Alabama versus Tennessee. I don't know where to go with this one. I don't know where to steer you guys with this one. I could see this one going either way. I could see it going either way. Both teams are 5-1 at the moment. Both teams are 2-1 in the SEC. One's ranked 7, one's ranked 8. This is pure madness, chaos, ready to happen for either one of these teams. Alabama loses this game, the fans might flip on Kalen DeBoer. Tennessee lose this game, their season might be over. Their season might be over when it comes to SEC championship wise. They could probably fight the rest of the season and hope that with 2 losses they get into the playoffs. They would have to hope that so many things happen, so many other teams look bad that with 2 losses they still get into the playoffs. That's the implications of this game. Either way, one of these fan bases are going to be mad. One of them going to be mad. I'm not sure if Tennessee is yet ready to, turn absolutely on their coach. But in year 1, Alabama taking 2 L's. Kalen DeBoer already lost to Vanderbilt. Man, this might be an epic meltdown situation. If this game happened where Alabama loses, I'm going to need Peanut Roll to check in. Peanut Roll. I'm going to need Peanut Roll to check in. Somebody tell Peanut to get over here. Somebody tell Peanut Roll to get over here. But I'm going to need him to check in. If Alabama loses this game against Tennessee, I'm going to need to hear what Peanut Roll got to say because I know he's going to have an epic meltdown. Plain and simple. And we definitely want to be entertained. 1-5 Mississippi State versus 5-1 Texas A&M. I'm gonna just go ahead and pencil in Texas A&M to improve to 6-1, be bowl eligible. In 2024, Texas A&M is starting to look a little competitive. Texas A&M is hanging around in the SEC right now, 3-0. So Mississippi State, man, easy win for pretty much anybody they play. Now, LSU, they probably won't be number 13 in the country. They'll probably move up a little bit. But they'll take on Arkansas this week. As you guys know, they only got 1 loss, and that came to the hands of USC earlier on in the year. Right now, they're 2-0 in conference. I'm telling you guys, there's some teams that are hanging around in these conference. Obviously, some of them are still undefeated in conference, and they'll play each other. So it'll work itself out. But as of right now, everything is looking bright for mostly all these teams, especially in these conferences. So everybody's looking to get that automatic bid in the playoffs by winning the conference this season. So we're gonna see. Vanderbilt, Ball State. I already told you guys. I got Vanderbilt tearing up Ball State. Ball State is absolutely trash. Garbage pursuit. Miami beat them 62-0, and everybody else been having a good lick off on them too. So nothing to see there. Probably one of the games of the week. Remember, I tell you this. Some of these SEC teams are going to take each other out. Austin, Texas. Georgia versus Texas. Now, I don't know if Sarge is listening. I don't know if some of you guys want to weigh in on the conversation. I probably should have put the link in the chat way earlier. But nonetheless, I'm going to put the link in the chat. Anybody that want to chime in on this, you're more than welcome to. And, some of the games we already talked about, you can talk about it too. Whatever, y'all want to talk about. But you have – wait. I probably got to put it in the other chat because let me refresh this, guys. Let me refresh this because obviously your guys' comments aren't Yeah, bear with me for a second, guys. Currently, comments aren't loading up, so I'm trying to put the link in the chat for you guys, and they won't even let me. So obviously, there's some technical issues on their end. So let me go on over to YouTube real quick. Let me go on over to YouTube real quick, see if I can fix this issue. And I'll just put the link in the chat from over there. Okay. All right, so the link is in the chat. Okay, so now I'm seeing the conversation in the chat. So on my end, it's not showing up. Everybody that came in, greetings to y'all this morning. Anybody that wants to join in on the conversation, the link is in the chat. So, okay, so back to our schedule programming. All right, so back to schedule programming. So Georgia versus Texas. Georgia versus Texas. Game is in Texas. Game is in Texas. Georgia's 3-1 in conference. Obviously, only loss came to Alabama. Now, I did tell you guys this year, before the year, even in the offseason, that Georgia would lose to Alabama. That Georgia would lose to Alabama. And they did. Now, I'll say this. If Georgia and Alabama were to play again tomorrow, I would take Georgia to win. Obviously, Alabama's going down. They're going down a dark path right now. They're going down a dark path. It is what it is. But Texas is on a roll. Texas is coming off a big win yesterday. They're 2-0 in conference. They're 6-0. They're the number one team in the country. Now, obviously, Georgia's sole loss came to a top 4, top 5 team in Alabama at the time before losing to Vanderbilt. This is going to be a good game. I believe this is going to be a good game. I do believe this is going to be a lot closer. It's going to be a lot more thrilling than, watching Alabama go up on Georgia like 28 points or whatever. I think this one's going to be a lot more closer in the beginning to the end than that game was. But I'm going with Texas. I'm going with Texas. I'm taking Texas to beat Georgia. I'm taking Kirby to get his second L of the season. Georgia fans, deal with it. It is what it is. I'm taking Texas to beat you guys. I'm taking them to beat you. It is what it is. I don't see you guys winning that game, Georgia. Obviously, you can. Obviously, most people are going to look at this as a 50-50 game. Most people, the spread's not going to be that high. I think it will be in favor of Texas. They are at home, and they are the hotter team right now. I do believe that they got a better team than you guys, the best team that money could buy. So it is what it is. Now, I did see some despicable behavior from Kirby Smart yesterday. Literally pushed the quarterback from Mississippi State yesterday. Like, literally pushed the kid. I ain't talking about no little push either. I'm talking about send you a nice little distant kind of push. That that's tough, Kirby. That's tough. I obviously see where some of these players get this bad behavior from now. Obviously you see Florida Gator, you see Florida Gator fans talking about, their running back from last season, ETN. ETN goes to Georgia, gets arrested. You got Miami wide receiver last season, Jacoby Young, goes to Georgia, and now gets arrested and kicked off the team. It's a Georgia thing. Going to Georgia, it's almost two things that comes with it. You're gonna win some football games, and you're gonna get arrested. You're gonna win some football games, and you're gonna get arrested. That's what comes with Georgia. Now, unfortunately for Jacoby Young, allegedly the reports are that he put his hands on a pregnant woman. If I'm not mistaken, they're saying that's his girl or whatever. And from what I'm hearing, allegedly he's suspended from the team indefinitely. So, that's tough. That's tough. Jacoby Young, up and down years at Miami, came from the JUCO level. And this season into the transfer portal. A lot of people were surprised by it. It is what it is. It is what it is. He went to Georgia, wanted to be close to home and all that. And now I'm not sure if he'll be playing football for the rest of this year. But for Georgia, he's suspended indefinitely. That's tough. That's what comes with being a Georgia Bulldog. You'll win some football games, but you definitely might get arrested at any given moment. That's tough. Whether it's driving Hellcats or putting your hands on somebody. That's what comes with being a Georgia Bulldog. It's actually almost a tradition now. Every offseason, it's like a competition. How many Georgia players will get arrested this offseason? It's almost like Vegas need to start having an over and under on it and have people bet on it. How many Georgia Bulldogs will get arrested in the offseason? And hell, even in the season. Going to Georgia and being arrested is secondhand. It goes together now. They go together. You're going to get arrested if you go to Georgia. That should be put in the NILD. Make sure you save money to bond yourself out. Go to Georgia and get arrested. That's tough. Kentucky versus Florida. Battle of the 3-3s. This is an absolute dumpster fire, gutter juice game. Kentucky versus Florida. Kentucky is 1-3 in SEC play, and Florida is 1-2 in SEC play. They're both 3-3. This game will be played in Gainesville. I want Kentucky to win. I want Kentucky to win. Kentucky just lost the Vanderbilt. For them to go into the swamp and beat the Gators, it would be great. It will be great. It will be total chaos in Gainesville. That fan base will erupt. They will go beyond apocalyptic. They will go nuts on Billy Napier. Their boards, their Twitter spaces, all that will be crazy. Will be absolute entertainment. Will be absolute entertainment. If Florida lose to Kentucky at home next week, this will be absolute chaos for their fan base. If you thought this week Florida fans was crying, I can only imagine what they would do if they lose to Kentucky at home. A Kentucky team that just lost to Vanderbilt. Now, I got clips of the Florida. I got a clip of the Florida Gators, calling into their shows, crying actual tears. I'm gonna play that a little bit later, man. Once we get through the Big Ten, and the Big 12. I'm gonna play some of that stuff. It's tough. In 2024, it's tough to be a Gator in the Seminole. It's tough to be a Gator in Seminole. Florida State and the Florida Gators right now, they would literally suck their own thing to beat Miami. They would literally do it. They would do it. That's tough. Let's go into the Big 12. Friday night game. Friday night game. You got BYU versus Oklahoma State. Friday night game. BYU right now, they're sitting at 3-0 in conference. They're 6-0 in total. Oklahoma State, 3-3, 0-3 in conference. I'm gonna be on the safe side. This is obviously a late night game on ESPN that I will not be staying up to watch. But it's 10:15. It comes on at 10:15. I might do it. I might even do it. I might pull it. If I watch the beginning of this game, because normally at halftime it'll probably be around 12. If it's boring, if it's one of those blowouts, I'm gonna go to sleep and I'm gonna check the score in the morning. But if it's a good game, great game going into the half, I might actually stay up, just sleep in the next day. That's tough. Arizona State versus Cincy. Arizona State 5-1. Cincinnati 6-2. Cincinnati's close win against UCF yesterday. This is in Cincinnati, Ohio. I don't really know which direction to go with this one. I could see Arizona State going over there and getting a win, but I can also see this probably being a upset game. This, that, and third. These two teams are pretty close. It's going to be a close matchup. I'm going to stay away from that one. Houston versus Kansas. This is total gutter juice, garbage, basuda, trash game. Houston 2-4, Kansas 1-5. Both of them are terrible in the Big 12. Trash, basuda, garbage. This is a game I stay away from. Any one of these trash teams could win this game. That's tough. Colorado versus Arizona. Game is in Arizona. Colorado 4-2. Not quite sure if they'll have Travis Hunter next week or not. If they do, I'll take them to win. If they don't, I'll take them to lose this game. Plain and simple. But actually, you know what? I could probably see them winning even without, Travis Hunter. This is Arizona. But nonetheless, I'm going to stay away from that game too. I'm going to stay away from that one. Texas Tech, 3-0 in Big 12 play, 5-1. They're taking on a terrible Baylor team. They'll win that game. Texas Tech, plain and simple. Iowa State versus UCF. Obviously, UCF having quarterback issues. Iowa State is on the rise right now. They're 6-0. They're already bowl eligible. They're 3-0 in Big 12. I'm going to take Iowa State to continue this week to improve to 7-0. Not quite sure when the last time Iowa State was 7-0. Probably been a real long time for that. But, you guys can let me know. Somebody say Florida State is in the building. Oh, my God. That's tough. That's tough. Florida State is in the building. Man, that's tough. I know. It's been a terrible year, Florida State. That's tough. Kansas State versus West Virginia. I think I'm just gonna roll with Kansas State. West Virginia every year West Virginia just seemed to be a disappointment. Just a huge disappointment. I don't know what it is, what's going on in Morgantown, but I can't pick West Virginia to win any games. I can't pick them, and I won't pick against them. Because every time you pick against them, they surprise you. I'll stay away from that one. Huge disappointment, Utah versus another huge disappointment in TCU. Both teams are disappointment. Utah came into this season with everybody on their back as the favorite to win the Big 12. They're 1-2 in Big 12 right now. They're 4-2 total. TCU is another one, 1-2. They're 3-3. Terrible. Both two teams. I don't know where to go with this one. I'm gonna give the slight edge to Utah because I think TCU has been a little bit worse. I think their losses have been a little bit, more on the blowout side than Utah's. So this is another one that I would stay away from because I could see it going either way. But terrible teams, man. Terrible teams. Just terrible. Let's go on over to the Big Ten. 2024, my guys. 2024 has been shaping up to be crazy. Shaping up to be crazy. Teams been catching absolute hell every week. A lot of upsets this year. A lot of things has not been going as favored. A lot of underdogs are, getting the job done, getting the dub. Friday night game. Obviously, Oregon 6-0, 3-0 in Big Ten. Purdue, one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. Go ahead and pencil in Oregon for the win. This is a Friday night game on Fox at 8 o'clock. Go ahead and just pencil in. Obviously, this game is an away game for Oregon. They're going to Indiana. They're 6-0. They'll leave Indiana 7-0. Nothing to see there. Nebraska versus Indiana. This is going to be a good one. I think this is going to be a good game. Indiana's at home. Indiana is 6-0, guys. 6-0. 3-0 in Big Ten. Nebraska 5-1. 2-1 in Big Ten. I can see this one going either way. Can Indiana improve to 7-0, or can Nebraska, stop them in their tracks and improve to 6-1 and become bowl eligible? Nebraska is performing pretty well this season. Nebraska look like they are trying to turn that program around. Can they continue to win? Can they upset number 18 Indiana this week? This is one of those tough picks right here. This is one of those that, man, could make or break some parlays. But, keep it moving. Wisconsin versus Northwestern. I'm going to take Wisconsin for the win. Now, Northwestern is at home. The little home, whatever they call it, whatever they got. But I'm going to take Wisconsin for the win. Wisconsin's been rolling even without TVD. I think their backup quarterback was probably even better than TVD, to be honest. That's tough. Rutgers versus UCLA. This is at Rutgers. UCLA is total gutter juice. Rutgers for the win. Nothing to really talk about. Like I said, guys, earlier, I don't know if you heard me, but UCLA and Florida State is the same team. They are the same team. UCLA, Florida State, Purdue, those teams are all the same in 2024. Easy coochie. Easy coochie. You play them, that's easy coochie. They're going to lay down and spread. That's tough. Let's keep it moving. Michigan versus Illinois. This should be a good game. Illinois at home. Michigan obviously got a quarterback situation right now. They don't really have a strong quarterback, so it's kind of tough to say they're going to beat teams specifically. I do think they out-talent Illinois. I do think they could probably run the ball on them and, pull out one. But I could also see Illinois winning this one. This is another toss-up. All the Michigan games to me, other than like lower opponents, are pretty much toss-ups in 2024 with a bad quarterback situation going on. So this is one I'll stay away from. But that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. USC 3-3, Maryland 3-3. Total gutter juice. Both teams are trash. Pretty much the season is done for both of them. Right now they're just fighting to make a bowl game. Maryland offense is absolute terrible trash, pursuit of garbage, being called by Josh Gad. It's one of the worst offensive coordinators ever. He pretty much got that trophy because of Harbaugh. At this moment, we all got to believe the narrative now. We all got to believe the story. Maryland is terrible. USC is terrible. USC had more closer encounters with these L's that they've been taking. I'm gonna take USC for the win. I'm gonna take USC for the win. Another bottom of the pack game, NBC Peacock or whatever they're playing this on at 7:30. You got Iowa versus Michigan State. Michigan State 3-3. Nothing to really play for other than bowl game now. Um, Iowa's still alive. Iowa's still alive. They're 4-2, 2-1 in the Big Ten. They still got a little bit of hope. Not a game that I would, put money on because I could see this one going either way also. But I don't think there's much to really talk about this one. I don't really think so. What I'll do too is I'll put together a list and I'm gonna post it on Twitter. I'm gonna put together a list of pretty much once the rankings come out, the best games to watch this weekend, especially the ones that I'm gonna watch. Definitely Miami, Louisville. That should be a very interesting one. Also, I need to figure out where game day is going to be this week. More than likely, it's probably going to be either between Texas and Nashville. In my opinion, I think that's where they're probably going to end up. They're probably going to end up at Georgia, Texas, or Alabama, Tennessee. Me personally, I would go to Georgia, Texas. I think that would be a better game. I think that would be the better game to go to. More interesting game to go to. I don't think Georgia and Texas played each other that much and recently either. These are two teams that are literally considered powerhouses right now. While Texas, while Alabama and Tennessee, they're kind of looking a little iffy right now. So I do believe game day will be at one of those places. I gotta really check and see. If they probably already announced it as I'm talking right now. They probably already announced where they're gonna be, but we're gonna see where game day ends up. If not those two, then where else? Let's go back to the top 25 where they possibly could end up at. So two games being played on Friday from the top 25, and then everything else is on Saturday. Let's quickly go through the standings. Let's go through the standings before we see if they updated the rankings, which I doubt they. I don't think they have upgraded the rankings yet. So let's run through some of these conferences. So the ACC right now, top of the ACC, you have Clemson. They're 4-0. They've played two more conference games than pretty much Miami. The only team that's played more conference games than Clemson so far is Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is 3-2 in conference. Georgia Tech pretty much got three more conference games left, one including Miami. Who else is worse in the conference? The worst teams in the conference. You got 0-3 North Carolina, 0-3 North Carolina State, 0-3 Cal, and 1-4 Florida State. Those are the worst teams in the conference. That's tough. Damn, Florida State. Y'all always at the bottom of every list in 2024. That's tough. I can't believe them boys were 13-1 last year. If you told me that now, if I didn't witness it myself, I'd probably tell you lying. That's tough. But that's the ACC. Undefeated teams in the ACC. Obviously, SMU, Pitt, Miami, and Clemson. All perfect in the ACC. All perfect in the ACC. Pitt and Miami are the only two teams left that's undefeated in total in the ACC. So that's your ACC right now. That's the matchups right now. That's where it's looking in conference. Also, that's your four ranked teams, and none of them's lost this week. So definitely all still will be ranked. So the ranked teams in the ACC. You got Clemson, Miami, Pitt, and SMU. Now, moving on from the ACC, You have the Big Ten. I'm sorry, the Big 12. Big 12. Big 12 conference. They have three teams over there that's still undefeated in conference play. We're only talking about them, and then we'll talk about the bottom of the map, the worst ones, the ones that hasn't even won anything. But you got BYU at 3-0. You also have the Cyclones. They're undefeated. They're 3-0. And then Texas Tech Red Raiders, they're 3-0 in conference. They're 5-1. I do believe eventually when the rankings update, they'll probably climb their way up into that top 25 somewhere, or if not, right sitting right outside of it. So this week is going to be interesting to watch. Worst teams in the conference, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State started this season, I think, as the number 16 team in the country and has went straight to hell from there. Kind of like a team in Tallahassee that we know. Started top 10 and went straight to hell. That's tough. Baylor Bears, they're 0-3 in conference. And, Kansas 0-3. Those are the worst teams in the conference right now. Pretty much everybody else with one loss that still got some kind of hope. You got, Kansas State, Arizona State, Cincinnati, and Colorado, and even West Virginia hanging around there with one loss. Oh, let's go back to the ACC. Let's see who's hanging around with one loss. You got Syracuse, Virginia, and Louisville. Those teams are hanging around with one losses. If Miami could go to Louisville, knock them off, I think that'll pretty much solidify Louisville out of it. As long as, Miami continue to win and Clemson or even SMU and Pitt, all of those teams continue to win. I think the teams with two losses in the ACC, you can go ahead and count them out. All right, so the Big Ten, 3-0, you got Indiana. 3-0, you got Oregon, and 3-0, you got Penn State. Those are the teams that are still undefeated in conference play. Teams that are totally out of it: UCLA 0-4, Purdue 0-3, and Maryland 0-3. Pretty much all the other teams with more than two losses or two losses, they're pretty much out of it. Now, teams that's still hanging around, obviously, Illinois with one loss, Ohio State with one, Nebraska with one, Iowa with one, Michigan, they still got one, and Wisconsin got one loss. So a lot of these teams will still end up playing each other. So, it's gonna balance itself out in probably the next 3 weeks or so. Conference USA, we don't care. But actually, you know what? Liberty is 5-0. They're one of those teams that, in the group of five, that could probably make a name for themselves, by making the playoffs. So it is what it is. We'll say Liberty for now. Keep it moving on that. Obviously, independent teams don't really have to worry about no conference or whatever. 5-1, ranked number 17. You got Boise. They 2-0 in conference. So you make of that what you want. And obviously, the Pac-12 still only got two teams, so we haven't really paid attention to them. But it's Washington State and Oregon State. One 5-1, and the other one 4-2 right now. No conference games been played. They only play each other basically. So once they play each other, one of them will be the conference champion, just like that. That's tough. So a regular season game for Washington State and Oregon State is going to be considered their conference championship. Man, that's tough. SEC, obviously, three teams that are still undefeated. You got Texas A&M, 3-0. You got Texas, 2-0. And you got LSU, they 2-0. They're 2-0. So those are your undefeated teams. Teams that are pretty much out of it with already, a loss or 2, 3 here. Mississippi State 0-3, and Auburn 0-3. And teams with like 3 losses already. You got Kentucky and South Carolina, so they pretty much out of it. Florida's hanging with 2 losses. They're done. That's tough, Florida. All right, so teams with 1 loss in conference that's still hanging around. They're not totally out of it. Um, Shakeups here and there, they're still in it. You got Tennessee with their 2-1, Alabama 2-1, Vanderbilt 2-1, Arkansas 2-1, and you got Georgia 3-1. Out of all the 1-loss teams right now, Georgia's sitting at the best with 3-1. So, the SEC has not been concluded. Georgia still got 4 more games to play. And the rest of those guys that's 2-1, they still got 5 more games to play. So a lot of shaking up still left or whatever. But anyways, man, let's check the rankings. I doubt that they updated yet. I haven't seen any indications of that. So we'll look at this rankings real quick and we'll wrap this show up. So obviously, AP poll still hasn't been updated. Still hasn't been updated. They still got Georgia as 4-1. They still haven't even updated since last week. So coaches poll has not been updated either. They still have teams that are 6-0 and they still got Ohio State undefeated right now, which they caught that L yesterday. So yeah. Anyways, man, appreciate you guys for tuning in, listening on Twitter, watching on on YouTube and all the other platforms and stuff like that. Y'all go out, enjoy your day. Miami versus Louisville next week, 12 o'clock. Get ready for it. Sometime during this week, we'll take a deeper dive into Miami versus Louisville. We'll take a deeper dive into that, the matchups, what to look for, this, that, and the third. So appreciate you guys for tuning in, hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, following on Twitter, and that's pretty much it. I'll catch you guys on the flip side.